Do you ever see a successful woman on your feed or in a magazine and think, wow, it must be nice to have it so easy? Well, think again. Behind that glossy cover or smiling face is a ton of hard work, countless failures, and endless learning experiences. I'm Rebecca Minkoff, and I'm here to tell you that success isn't a walk in the park. It takes grit, resilience, and a willingness to take risks. That's why I created Superwoman, a podcast that peels back the varnish and gets into the nitty-gritty of what it takes to make it as a woman in today's world. From luminaries and game changers to women you've never heard of but should, this podcast is here to inspire you to take your next leap, no matter how daunting it may seem. We'll explore the sacrifices these women have made, the highs and lows they've experienced, and the lessons they've learned along the way. So if you're ready to be inspired and learn from some of the most successful women out there, join me on Superwoman. Together, we'll uncover the stories behind the successes and prove that with hard work, determination, and a little bit of luck,
Magnum
anything
Ice
is
Cream
possible.
believes in more chocolate, more sauces, and more of what makes you, you. Discover a world of indulgence. Enjoy Magnum's rich chocolate flavors in a small, snackable size, sweet, creamy, and decadent. The layered mini ice cream treats are the perfect mini indulgence for whenever your chocolate cravings strike. Calling all cookie lovers, indulge in the new Magnum white chocolate and cookies. Crafted with velvety vanilla ice cream swirled with a decadent chocolate ganache, dipped in luscious white chocolate and coated with rich dark chocolate cookie pieces. With only 150 calories per bar, these are the perfect mini treat to share with loved ones. Discover a fun-sized golden ratio and pamper your taste buds with Magnum Mini Double Caramel. Classic vanilla bean ice cream is wrapped in a lusciously sweet caramel sauce and dipped in a gooey, chocolatey layer before being covered again in a 44% cacao milk chocolate shell. When it comes to self-expression, indulgence, and chocolate, more is more with Magnum ice cream.
Hey everyone, you're listening to Superwoman. Today's guest is my potentially fellow castmate. Potentially, rumors uncertain, Jessel Taank, the founder of ŌUSHQ, also one-time roommate.
We won't talk about that.
But we go into her career, the hard work, the tenacity, the grit that it takes, and also what inspired her to launch her new company. Take a listen. So those tuning in, if you think you're going to get some gossip or some inner workings of our lives right now, you're not. This is a spoiler alert. But it's not a spoiler alert because I'm so excited to have you on. And I want to talk about like the hard work, the everything you did to take you to now, to launching ŌUSHQ. But I want to go back. But welcome.
I'm kind of bummed about the no gossip.
I mean, we can gossip a little bit.
I came here with some tea.
Oh, you did?
No, I'm kidding. I have like the least tea and I'm British.
Damn it. I was like, what did I miss this last weekend that I wasn't available?
Absolutely nothing. It was just like talking about the circus that are my children. And that's about it.
Oh my God. I too have some circus animals. So you reminded me when we were filming the other day that we were on a phone call together when you were at a PR company.
Yes.
And I want to just go to like, you graduate high school. Were you like, I love the world of PR? Because it was really romantic, I think, and different back then than it's different today.
Oh, it was so romantic back then.
Right?
And the world of editorial and magazines and print and the budgets were incredible.
Uncle Si.
Uncles, I mean, literally just a whole different world. But did I ever think I would be in PR? No.
Okay, what did you want to do?
So, growing up Indian, there's only like one of three things.
Engineer, doctor,
lawyer. So I was going to do the latter. I was really intrigued by law. It sounded like sexy, go into a courtroom and dress all good and like
fancy
shit.
Suits.
Yeah, exactly. And London law there's this entire area dedicated to like the legal system in the city. It's called Bank. It's where a lot of the legal, like we call it solicitors in England, where they all used to like, train and all the offices would be. It was very chic. So that's really kind of what I was building myself up to do.
Yeah.
I had this idea in my head, and then Legally Blonde came out, and I was like, oh, damn, I could do this. Reese Witherspoon can do it. She's a bimbo. I could do it. But I very quickly, I think I did a two-week internship with a.
This is before college.
Before college.
Okay.
This is part of like my high school program.
Okay.
And I was just pushing paper. Like it was, and I didn't understand anything. I was like, this is horrific. Like, what is this
It's
nonsense?
a whole new language.
It's a whole new language.
Yeah.
Like who speaks like that?
No one.
And then you have to wear those wigs, those
Right,
weird,
but
like,
only in London you have to wear the weird
correct.
wigs. Okay.
You know, it could have been cool, like circa Bridgerton, but like not so much anymore. Like, it's not cool. I was like, what about my hair? This is not chic.
What if someone has lice and they give me their wig?
Oh, yuck. And everything smelled like dust. So I was like, I did this 2-week internship and I was like, my fingers were like, everything was kind of dusty and old and musty. And I was very turned off. So I went the complete opposite direction. I was like, well, I like the fashion aspect of it. But, I grew up, something that I talk about often is I grew up in a family that actually is very untraditional. So my mom's side of the family is very untraditional. My dad's side was where sort of the legal system, the lawyer, thing,
Engineer,
ambition
doctor.
came in. Yeah. But my mom's side of the family was what I sort of gravitated towards growing up. So she has 2 brothers and they both ran away from home at the age of,
In India or in the UK?
London. In
Okay.
London.
Okay.
So they moved from Africa to London. I think they were probably like quite young, 8, 10. But then my grandfather used to work at a Leica factory.
Oh, wow.
So they always had cameras around them. And so my 2 uncles, my mom's brothers, always would be playing with these cameras and they wanted to become photographers. So I love the story because it's so like, it's like such a fantastical like childhood, you have these toys around you and they wanted to so badly become fashion photographers. So they ran away to Paris. And Uncle Max, literally had nothing. And he started doing street photography. So he would like just shoot random people in the street, sent these images to Yohji Yamamoto. Yohji loved them and was like, Max, you're going to shoot my first campaign.
Stop it.
I swear to God.
That's wild.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Like what
But
a
it was so
story.
much simpler back then that you could get something to Yohji. And
Yes.
it wasn't like now where like I slid into your DMs and you didn't
Yeah.
bother looking.
I had to go through like your horrific like PR agency
Yes.
and they're like,
Yes.
I was
Are
gonna
you good enough?
Right, exactly.
Okay, so he gets his first campaign.
Yeah, so he gets his first campaign, and from there, like so their careers just kind of like I think they were quite aligned in their success, and they ended up being in New York and led this very glamorous life. And, I was this little Indian girl in London, and it was to me this like almost this sort of aspirational like thing that they did.
Yeah.
They broke out of whatever system that we had as an Indian family growing up, and they really pursued their dreams. It was very, very it was just such a pathway to me of like you can actually do something that's larger than life.
Yep. So did you have to sit down your parents and say, I'm following in my uncle's footsteps? And was there shock and disgust in their faces?
So it didn't exactly go down like that. If I was making the movie of my life, like, yes, I would add that
Of
scene,
course.
obviously. But I think for me, I did go through the very traditional steps. Like I went to a British university. I did the whole degree thing. I did the whole education thing. And then when I graduated, I really was like thinking very carefully about what I wanted to do. And New York always seemed to me like the place I would like to grow up, or in my young adulthood, like to pursue a career.
Yeah.
And I had them, sort of living here. So I was like, hey, can I, hey, you guys got a good apartment, like you have space. And so I kind of, was like, well, I have this opportunity. I have this amazing, lifeline to kind of be in New York and to learn something outside of my comfort zone.
Yep.
So I said, can I come live with you for 2 weeks and shadow? So my Uncle Max married Aunt Nicoletta Santoro, who I don't know if you know.
No.
Oh.
But the name is...
Oh, Nicoletta Santoro. She is like, she is just fashion, I would say, like royalty. She started at Italian Elle. Her family used to own factories that make magazine paper. So she grew up in that sort of world.
Oh my gosh.
And she, was working at Condé Nast International. She was working at Vogue Italia, doing all these incredible things. So I said, can I please just shadow Aunt Nicoletta for 2 weeks?
Yeah.
So they said yes. So I went with my suitcase for 2 weeks, and I never went home.
Oh my gosh.
And that was it.
Did she give you a hard job and was like, if you're going to learn from me, you're going to slum it?
She was very tough.
Yeah.
She's tough in the way Anna Wintour, Grace Coddington, like those sort of like OG fashion icons are.
Yeah.
Like very old school, very precise, almost OCD about like everything.
It's a love-hate because that builds, I think, between you and I, we share this like armor.
Yes.
But also it can cause some post-traumatic stress. You know what I mean?
Definitely
it's
have
like,
PTSD.
when is it too far? And when is it like, oh yeah, now she knows how to work hard?
Yeah. And I think that women like us, you know, we're not fazed by much, right?
No.
So when people try to push our buttons, we're just like, it's like dust off our shoulder. Like we'll do a Jay-Z move. Like that's not, we're just,
No, we've had real shit happen.
Yeah.
Not some petty shit.
Not petty shit.
Okay, so you are there for 2 weeks, and then what happens? You're like, Mom, Dad, I'm not coming home. This is my calling.
I just got a taste of New York. Now, I've been to New York before then, obviously, like to visit family, etc. But working and living in New York is a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
I got a taste of what I could do. And I think when you think of opportunity, when you think of like, you know, curating what your life looks like, I really saw it in those 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I knew that with hard work, determination, and everything that sort of like, you know, makes you successful, I was able to truly like do what I had always wanted to do. I didn't know what I wanted to do at that point yet, but I knew that I wanted to be in fashion. I knew I wanted to create stories and be creative in that world. And so that was, so this was kind of the clincher. I was supposed to go home.
Yep.
And Aunt Nicoletta said, I think it was like, I was supposed to leave on Sunday. And her assistant, she was shooting a Roberta Cavalli campaign. Her assistant got sick or couldn't work or something happened. So she asked me, she was like, would you mind filling in for her? And you would be on the set, you know, with all these incredible, I mean, it was like Jaquetta Wheeler and like all those old school models.
All the old, the
like,
old guard.
The old guard. And I, of course, said yes, 100%. Like, I'm never going to take that, you know, opportunity and say no. So I ended up just like, things like that just kept happening where it was like more and more and more. And before you know it, it's like I was there for 3 months and I was like, oh shit, I have to go back because I'm illegal at this point. So I did that and then I came back. Like it was just, I did that for, you know, twice and then I finally got sponsored. They sponsored me.
Your aunt did?
They did, yeah.
Wow.
My aunt and uncle
And
did.
how long did you stay working with her before you said, okay, I think my calling is PR?
PR, yeah. So I really, you know, working in editorial and behind the scenes and doing the shoots and, you know,
that is hard fucking work.
Yes.
It is glamorous looking, but man, it's a slog.
you steam.
Yeah.
For
You
like,
steam, you're carrying 100 suitcases, you're opening them up, setting them out, they're last to eat.
yeah, garment bags, requests, like it is not.
Wipe someone's ass.
But more than that, like I didn't really see a future in fashion editorial. Like I didn't know if I was the girl that was going to be able to put the looks together. Like I understand style, but did I want to do that for a living? And the money I think was questionable. It's not that great, I think.
Editorial styling doesn't pay well.
Not at all.
No,
Not
commercial
really.
styling does.
Yeah. But then you got to get to the,
Right.
you know, the top to like get those contracts, right?
True. Yes.
So I think it was about a year in when I was doing this, and I was like, I think I want to take. I am really good at like strategic. Strategic. I guess. How do I put this? I'm really good at strategy and making things grow. Like, you know, that's sort of like taking one thing and then applying a plan to it and then creating this like almost like roadmap.
Yeah.
And so I've done that my whole life in a way. Where I'll take something and then I'll just like put the seeds together to create like
You can see it.
you can see it.
Yeah.
So my aunt was like, well, if you want to do more of the business side of fashion, why don't you try PR? And I was like, fashion PR? What does that even like mean?
Yeah.
And what it meant was packing a shit ton of boxes at the time.
A sample closet.
Sample closet. You got to start somewhere. My aunt's best friend is Carla Otto. So she was like, Carla.
But people don't realize the power of your network or the 6 degrees of separation. Like you can have the best degree, the best whatever, but if you don't make those relationships, or in your case, you were related to some, but because of your hard work, she felt comfortable recommending to you. It wasn't like, oh, help out, my niece. because she saw you brought it.
Yeah, I really worked hard for her. In general, I sort of never said no. And she saw that. And, I think my aunt is not someone that is emotional. She's not someone that would do me a favor.
Right.
She didn't do me. I mean, they did do me favors, but she didn't really do me any favors. She treated me just like she would treat anyone else.
Yep.
And by the way, like, they're very, they love anyone that's like part of their team. They love to like see them grow. That's the type of people they are. And they did so much for me in letting me into their home and really giving me the means to kind of do what I do.
That's awesome.
So
you get to Carla Auto, which, if you're listening, is a huge, incredibly respected human but PR firm.
yes.
And so what brands were your first accounts?
So
After the closet, of course.
here's the clincher. There was, I don't know if she's going to be listening, but Leslie Dahlgren Green. Leslie Green was one of those, again, very old school publicists. Do you know her?
Yeah.
Leslie, oh my God. I was on Leslie's I was her intern. And Carla just signed Celine under Phoebe Philo. So it was like the golden ticket because everyone wanted that, right? Phoebe Philo is just, I have no words for her.
Iconic.
She's
legendary.
Yeah, all of the things.
Yes.
Celine was, I think Michael Kors was right before her. I don't know who was creative director, but it
Stella.
was it Stella
Yeah.
McCartney?
Yeah.
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 Okay, so when Phoebe came on to Celine, the brand turned around.
Yeah.
We had the account. I was exclusively on Celine. So imagine I'm this little girl, little Indian girl from nowhere. I get the hottest account in like the entire fashion world, and all of a sudden, every single editor wants a piece of me.
Yep.
It's like everyone's wanting to go for lunch.
Yep.
Like, oh, I really want this look. Can you make it happen? I was like, let me think about that. Like, it was, it was crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to do.
So what did you do?
I played the long game.
Yeah.
It's like that. I really took that as my way to leverage relationships. And I really worked very, very hard to kind of prove that I could do this. It was my one shot. And by the way, I was on I was still being sponsored by my aunt at that point. An H-1B visa, I think it runs out 3 years, or it's like there's a very short shelf life on it. So I knew I had to work hard, otherwise my ass is going to be shipped right back to London.
Yep.
I had no option.
Because you need then Carla Auto to sign on and sponsor you.
Correct.
Yep.
And it's expensive.
It's expensive. I was going to say, it's like 10 grand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay, so you work your ass off. You have Celine.
I had Celine, Victoria Beckham. I had all the hot brands. It was good. Cocoon. Who else? L'Agence.
So what did you learn in those days that set you up for then your later career?
I think I think what I learned three things. I think it was really the power of the network, like you said, really building those relationships inside and outside of the professional network. I feel like every single person I worked with during that time is still someone that I respect, that we sort of grew up in that same, method, I guess, of the industry. I don't take anything for granted. I really do not. I no matter how successful you are, I feel like I always think about the days where I was boxing clothes, and that can be taken away in a heartbeat.
Yep.
So always stay humble. And what
You're
else?
humble?
Shut up.
Just giving you shit.
I think I am, right?
Yes,
I
yes,
don't.
you are.
I may have a diva mentality when it comes to my husband, but in general, I'm pretty.
I know. I'm
easygoing.
giving you shit.
But yeah, so sorry. Humble, network, and then I think the last thing is think big. So I think those things really helped me a lot.
So what was the next step? You got poached.
I got poached by Michael Kors.
So that's a big deal because it's a $1 billion brand.
Yeah.
It's a huge opportunity to go run something like that versus run many things. So what was that first day like?
At Michael?
Yeah.
Oh my God. It was so different, right? Being in-house is so different to being in an agency.
Yeah.
And I think an agency, there's so many things going on. It's commotion. You're sort of you're sort of really, there's a showroom, like there's a ton of brands that you're dealing with. Michael was just Michael. You step into he had to build it. I mean, it was like, I have 5 floors. Everything is caramel. Like it is.
It's all khaki.
It's all khaki and caramel and like creams.
Did you have to dress that way too?
Leathers. Oh, head to toe Michael Kors.
But okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, do you make people do that too?
We give them an allowance,
Right.
but I don't ever want to I mean, hands down, you better be showing up with your bag, right? But I don't expect you to be head to toe every
I
day.
think you should enforce that.
Really?
Yeah,
I'd be
take
like,
it back to the old
bitch.
school.
I know, right?
But
You're
your clothes are
encroaching
very.
on my personal style, and I feel traumatized. That's
Oh
what
well,
I'll
there
get
were
now.
things that I was like, oh god, like my allowance, is probably more Michael Kors than it was Michael Kors collections. I'm like stomping around in my MMK.
Oh my god.
But it was a real culture.
Yeah.
This is like right when he IPO'd.
Wow.
He was the hottest brand.
Yep.
In town. He is such a legend too. I mean, someone that is so funny, so such a visionary, I would say. He used to make his meetings where I would be like crouching on the floor, like laughing. He does impressions of people.
Oh my god.
And they're good.
Who was his best one?
Anna Wintour by far.
Really?
And Diane von Furstenberg, because they were on the CFDA together.
Oh my god.
So he would just like he's very theatrical, right? He's
Yeah.
like Broadway.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
We would die. It
Oh
was
my
so
gosh.
funny.
So how long were you there for?
I was there for about 2.5 years. And I loved every minute of it. I really did. And I think you learn so much about business.
Yeah.
And really like sort of the 360 of it. So when you're agency side, you're sort of siloed into like one, like you're just the PR for that brand. But when you're in-house, you really get to see marketing, digital, the fashion side of things, the design, the retail.
Yeah.
So I really learned, I think, the most with him.
Yeah.
And with that team.
What would you say is a lesson you took out of that experience that maybe you had to learn the hard way?
I got a women's wear daily thrown at me because I mixed.
Really?
I mixed.
That's a very light paper. It's not that heavy.
Well, depending on what
what issue?
What
The
issue?
September issue, right?
Well, and they
Or
also had those
weekly.
magazines.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
So what did you do to have it thrown at you?
I loaned collection for a story that was not
Approved.
approved.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So all of a sudden you see like Mark by Mike Jacobs, and you see all the sort of like the lower
tier.
contemporary brands.
Yeah.
And then I think I lent like a collection bag, and it was like the most expensive thing on the page, and it didn't go down.
Did not go well. So what did you do? How did you?
I learned. I mean, all I can do is like say sorry. Like I will be more, thorough next time.
Right.
I don't really.
Oh
I was
my
like,
gosh.
well, you're on the.
Those were the
page.
days where you could throw things at people, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
I don't condone that, but I've heard so many stories of that. A girl worked for me, had a shoe thrown in her face.
Have you ever flown anyone to another country to drop a shoe off or a bag off or?
No. Because we never had those moments that were like that urgent. Like I think there's that
Yeah.
documentary where someone flies Marc Jacobs dress to like, whatever, the runway show.
Yeah.
No. I've flown to countries with things, but that was it.
I mean, the trafficking budget for clothes and shoes and items like that. It seemed like sky's the limit.
Yeah.
Like I remember, there was a shoot happening in Paris. The look was in New York or it was in London, and like we literally flew an intern to go pick it up, and then flew her to the shoot, and then flew her back.
Yeah, it's much better deal than DHL.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Mental.
It's wild.
Mental. Fashion really is as crazy as they say it is.
Well, not as much anymore. The budgets are a lot smaller.
Yeah. Oh well. Everything's influencer.
So what was life like after Kors? What did you do?
Well, this is kind of where it gets interesting.
Okay.
Because I was on the up and up and up. I felt like my career was, almost, it was like, I was getting so much opportunity. I was meeting so many people. I was really like in it. And then I met my husband.
Uh-oh.
That guy.
Wait, you were roommates with him?
I was roommates with him. So when
Before you met?
Yes.
Yeah.
So as at Michael, And my husband was about to get evicted. Then this is before I was even at Michael. I think I moved in with him when I was at Carla, but he was about to get evicted because he threw too many parties. So we were both looking, and I was leaving my uncle's place, and so we were both looking for a spot. And I was like, let's move in together. We're besties. That'll be fun. So we ended up living together, actually right by your office.
Oh,
Rebecca.
my God. In this terrible neighborhood.
Oh, yeah. Welcome
It's
to
where
Hell's
every
Kitchen.
first apartment starts.
Exactly. It was like 44th and 10, or
Oof.
like 9 and 10.
Okay. So at that point, were you like, I think I'm ready to leave? Leave course.
So what ended up happening was we were dating, and he was in business school. And, you know, when he was about to graduate business school, we were sort of having these very serious conversations about, like, what do we want to do? Where do we want to be? And where do we see ourselves in the future? And he's an LA boy, born and bred. And he thought, look, we can invest in property in California. We'll get something, you know, a little bit bigger than we would in New York.
Yeah,
which
a
is
studio.
right. A studio.
If that in Queens. Right?
Oh God. No, I don't go across the bridge. But we decided to settle in LA.
Was that hard for you to leave your like career that was on this like huge trajectory? And
It
then
was-
LA at the time, now it's different, but at the time it was like, ooh, if you're in fashion, you are not in LA. Like that's like
It was
peasant
Guess.
fashion.
It was Guess.
Yeah.
It was, you know,
Rock and Republic.
True Religion. Rock and Republic. I'm sorry, I love denim, but like, yeah.
Yeah.
It was, what was the
Christian Audigier.
Kristen Audigier, but what is the Juicy Couture?
Yes.
Jesus Lord.
I know.
That-
I fell victim.
Those are the days.
Those are the
yeah,
days.
we all did.
Uggs and Juicy.
Uggs and Juicy. That's basic bitch attire, right? That was for you, but yeah, it was. I didn't think about it in a way that I should have.
You didn't. Okay, so you weren't like, oh shit, I'm taking a huge risk. You were just like, let's just go with the flow.
I was very much like, I want to get married, have a big wedding, and it was sort of. I got swept away with the concept of it all and the excitement of it all. And I really didn't understand what I was sacrificing in that moment. And essentially it was my career.
Right.
Like
So you got to LA, you were like, I'm definitely not going to do the PR for Rock and Republic. No, thank you.
Hell no.
So then what'd you do?
It was almost like one of those sliding door moments, right? Where like she misses the train and her life goes that way, and then like her life goes that way. Like I always think about, what if we never moved to LA? Where would I be now?
Yep.
Maybe I would be sitting in this chair again, who knows? But I think it would have taken a different course.
Yeah.
For sure.
Do you have regrets about it?
I do. Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really do think I would have, if I had stayed in New York, and I would have really like persevered in everything I'd worked so hard towards.
Yeah.
I think it would have been a very different trajectory for me.
Yep.
But-
So how long was it LA? And how did you sort of say, all right, it's time to go? You went to Houston and then New York?
So we did LA for about 5 years.
Okay.
I was still in fashion PR, and this is where I actually...
We were on our phone call.
We were on our phone call together. Rebecca launched one of the most impressive dressing rooms.
Well, my brother gets the credit.
Okay, Mr. Minkoff.
Mr. Minkoff.
But you had, it was like technology that was...
Touchscreen dressing
Touchscreen
rooms.
dressing
Yeah,
rooms.
before everybody, okay?
Yeah,
Everyone.
It really was cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
So the agency I was working with at the time was doing the launch of your LA store.
That's right.
And so I had the pleasure of actually representing you for a short second.
That's right. See? Sliding doors.
Yeah, imagine that. So crazy.
So when did you say, okay, it's been 5 years, I came here for you, we're out? Or how did that?
Yeah, I had the twins towards the end of that 5 year stint. And, as you can probably attest, kids stroke fashion doesn't go.
Yeah.
I have to remember that during that time it was like COVID, like all these things happened, like COVID happened. I'd given birth to twins. We'd built a house.
And mind you, your road to having the twins was not easy.
Oh, it was like, 3 out of the 5 years we were in LA was spent on that,
Right.
you know?
That's not an easy thing.
No. LA was tough, actually.
Yeah.
It was really. Did you ever live there?
I lived there like half the year for many years.
Yeah.
I was dating someone, and Yeah.
Yeah.
And I liked it, but once the relationship was over, I was like, well, I can't just come out here now. For what?
I mean, as a fashion designer, though, did you see any uptick?
I was more warmly welcomed because back then here was such a clique. So like my first big runway show was actually at a gallery in LA, and like I could get friends and actors and celebrities there.
Right.
But I never felt like it could be my home.
Yeah. That's how I felt too. I think it's very superficial in a way.
Yeah.
It's all about what do you do and who you know. And
I just love that you walk into any restaurant and everyone's like, are you going to discover me today? Look at me.
Yeah.
And here it's a little low key.
And every waiter is a wannabe act. I mean, that's not a cliche. That's like real life.
Yeah, it's real life.
It's real life. We had fun. I mean, it's great. The weather's beautiful. All
Great
the
hiking.
things. Great hiking.
Yes.
Nobu Malibu is like the vibe.
Yes. If you can get there.
If you
Have
can get
3
there.
hours in traffic.
I know.
Okay, so we only have 10 more minutes before we get kicked out, and I want to
Yeah.
get to ŌUSHQ. So
Yes.
tell me about, obviously, you leave LA, it's tough, it sucks. And then what gave you the idea for your this next big launch?
Yeah, so it was actually something that, when you have an idea and you sort of wake up in the middle of the night and you're like, holy crap, like, I need this in my life. When I was shopping for my wedding, this is 2014, I was actually like, I'm going to use the word flabbergasted because it was like,
That's a good word.
It's a great word. The process of what I went through to kind of, curate my wedding looks, and they're mainly Indian designers, was just really tough. Like, I had to fly to India. Even that process was nuts because everything's custom. It's like you don't really know what to do, where to go. It's a bit of a maze. And there was no website. There was no like e-commerce like platform or marketplace where you're just like, wow, like these are beautifully curated looks by designers that I am discovering. And that was like my aha moment. I was like, I need to create something with all my experience that I have in the fashion, the business, and the PR, and the marketing world. Like, I really do think I can create this one-stop shop for Indian designers to come and gain visibility in the US.
Yep.
And that was really where it stemmed from. Also, yes, I'm British born and all those things, but I always consider myself Indian first. I grew up in a household that was very, very much proud of our culture, and my family is as well. We love being Indian. I couldn't imagine myself being anything else. I couldn't really pass as anything. I'm so Indian, the way I look. But I love everything about the culture and the fashion.
Yeah. I'm dying to go.
Oh my God,
Dying.
we should go.
Yeah.
Actually, you would be a great person. I mean, I know you don't like being my roommate.
No, we can't be roommates.
You got me roommate. We'll get our own hotel room.
You snore and I'm boring, so
Oh
it's not
my
a good combo.
I think I was snoring because you were bored. Watch his face, guys. But yeah, it's just something I feel very passionate about.
Yeah.
And I feel,
And it really doesn't exist. Like, there's so many people that are like, I have an idea, but it truly is not being served or talked about at all.
Yeah, and you see now, the timing was perfect.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you look at the Cannes red carpet or even the Oscars or, all of those red carpets are now slowly starting to appreciate Indian designers.
Yeah.
What Dior did in Mumbai with, celebrating all of their the people behind the scenes are
Embroidery, the filigree,
yeah.
the workmanship.
Exactly.
It's exceptional. Yeah.
It's exceptional. It all stems from India. And so, I feel like True Couture is, very much acquainted to Europe and Italy and France. And, it's got this very, very, very much a romanticized, attachment to it. But I'm lifting the veil on this shit. Like,
Love it.
It's actually India. We've got incredible designers, incredible creatives coming out of the country. And, India, the Middle East, I really do feel like that's the next forefront of where fashion is going to come from. And so I think I created ŌUSHQ at the exact right time.
Yep.
Because, the amount of eyeballs that are on these types of continents right now, this region is just, it's perfect.
So what's been the hardest part of now starting your own business, and now you know a little bit about like what Carla would go through or what your aunt will go through or what Michael goes through as a business owner starting a dream and then like, oh fuck, I had no idea?
I think it's the bullshit that people like sort of, and you probably know this as well, like it's when you're talking to someone about your idea and they're like, oh my God, I love it. And that's great. And let me know what I can do to help. And it's this like bullshit. And then when you actually need it, or you actually like, you know, go to that person that offered it up and they're like, oh, well, they make all these excuses. I hate that.
I know.
Just
It
be
sucks,
real.
right? Just be
Be
like,
real.
I'm not interested in helping you at all. I'm sorry.
And I have no idea what I'm talking about and I suck. So it's just this like very, you know, it's very easy to be led by all of these like false promises and hopes. And I think you really have to be very certain of yourself.
Yeah.
And what you're doing, and really sort of like phase out the bullshit, I think, and stay focused.
I love it. So everyone can go to ŌUSHQ.com. Can you spell it for us?
Yeah, it's #OUSHQ. .com and follow us on social too. You know, we're brand spanking new. I just launched in January. I want to say.
Well, everything you wear that you tag is so fucking gorgeous.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And that's all I care about. I'm not doing it for anything other than I want to give these designers a platform that they deserve.
They do 100% deserve it. Because, like, you wouldn't know. It's not like you can log on to Net-a-Porter and see any of this stuff.
Yeah,
no,
not at all.
No shade or disrespect, but, like,
Not at all.
they haven't widened their net of who is talented and incredible.
Yeah. And I think, you know, just to kind of say, I feel like by me doing that, by me, you know, wearing all these different designers that are under sort of under the radar, you know, it's interesting. It's cool. Like, we want to be different, right? I feel like everyone's kind of sick of seeing the same black silhouette by like the same designer.
I'm so sick of it.
Boring.
Right. Like, this is Gucci, this is Prada, this
Yeah.
is Chanel. Like, okay, cool.
We get it.
You have money. You can buy
Yeah.
those things.
And it's funny because I was just invited to it's a gala or a ball, they call it. And it's sponsored by a very well-known designer who offered to dress me. And I said no, because I'm actually going to wear an Indian designer.
I love that.
And I'm going to, like, you know, I want to be the girl that doesn't dress like anyone else.
Yep.
So
You always have been, at least since I've known you.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot.
My last two questions before we're kicked out. What is something we'd be surprised to know about you?
Oh, God.
Not that you haven't bore all on TV, but
Yeah, no. Goodness, what is something surprising about me? I
do
think...
you ever wear white jeans and a t-shirt?
I did wear white jeans on Friday, actually. I was with Bryn and we wore white jeans and a t-shirt. Hello, what am I wearing today?
Okay, basic bitch.
Okay, I'm wearing khakis and a white shirt. I'm so basic.
Oh my God.
I think one thing that you would be surprised about is... oh man, I know it's a tough one. There's so many. I really, really want people to know that, I don't know, God, this is fucking put me on the spot. Can you edit this?
I'm not putting you on the spot. This is the two questions I ask every guest.
Oh God, I should have listened to your previous guest. Okay, well
Clearly she didn't prepare.
here it is.
Okay.
I speak Japanese.
What?
Yes.
Say something.
Conversational. Konnichiwa, wanatasha namae wa Jessel desu.
Wow. When did you have to learn that? A course?
So no, my dad actually used to work for a Japanese company.
Oh my
And so
God.
he was like, oh, if you know Japanese, you'll be immediately successful.
So you know that you need to bow with
Bow,
the business
very
card.
respectful.
all the- yes.
I actually love all aspects of Japanese culture.
Yeah, same.
I think that the way that they run their country, I'm a big fan of it all.
Is Japan in your future? Would you ever move there?
I don't think I could.
Yeah.
Right? It's too much.
I
It's
felt like an alien there.
You did?
Yeah.
They probably look like an alien. Like you're.
I
you
look
know,
like an alien to them.
Exactly. Do you have stores there?
We did.
Oh, you did.
Yeah.
Okay.
We did.
See, because I feel like Japan is the frontier of fashion consumption.
Yes.
Right.
For sure.
Like, it's definitely
But the way they wrap things and present and there's like a dance to business that here it's just like, all right, how many units can you sell me?
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like hot dogs and beer.
Yeah.
And theirs is like
Sake and sushi.
sushi and chops. Even the
Oh,
way
we're
they eat.
going out to sushi next.
Oh yes, we should for sure. And you have to drink some sake.
I'll drink with you.
Okay.
Just not with Bryn. Just going to ride it out a little longer.
So mad.
Okay, last question. A piece of advice that you either learned the hard way or that someone gave to you that actually was helpful.
Yeah, so this is something that lives with me, and it's something my mother always said. She came to London as a young girl growing up in Africa, and she was different. And I think that, it was very tough for her to grow up in a country that didn't embrace difference. But she always was just like sticking to her guns. Like, I don't want to conform. I'm not going to follow the crowd. And so that's something she's always said to me. I think it lives inherently in me.
Oh, I love
so
that.
I do think, and this is going back to ŌUSHQ in a way, that the more you stand out from the crowd, the better it is for you.
I love that. Thank you for coming on
Thank
today.
you for having me.
This was so fun.
Yes, so fun. Not that I don't see you every day. At this point, seeing her again.
Here we are again.
Here we are again.
Sponsored by Magnum Ice Cream. Our delicious layers of velvety ice cream, gooey sauces, and crackling Belgian chocolate are the perfect match for your girls' night or dinner party. From classics like mini double caramel to our new mini white chocolate and cookies, Magnum has a taste of unapologetic indulgence for everyone. Even when it's mini, it's more. More is more with Magnum Ice Cream. I just wanted to thank you guys for listening to today's episode. I also want to ask you to rate and review the show wherever you listen to podcasts. I know it's a pain in the butt, but it actually helps with search and algorithms. So if you love this podcast, it is an easy way to get it more visible and out there. I also want you to follow me on Instagram at Rebecca Minkoff, at RM Superwomen, and be sure to check out my book, Fearless, The New Rules for Unlocking Creativity, Courage, and Success. Thank you again, and you will hear from me next